Hello all, it's the old geek, and if you're new to my channel, you won't know this, but those who are regulars at my channel will know that I've done some browse throughs of Dragon and White Dwarf magazine, and I've pretty much got to the end of, I think it's 1979. But these are just general browse throughs, quite big magazines. I haven't got time to go into the meat of each of the articles. I just have a look at the general gist of them and have get an idea of what I think the balance of articles is, the presentation of the magazine, that sort of thing. So I was thinking of something to do this week. I've got some time off work this week, and I thought I'd go back to one of the earliest Dragon magazines for a little bit of juiciness. These days on the internet, nerd rage is very, very common. We have YouTube channels, we have Discord, we have forums, all that sort of thing to vent. And we nerds have always been good at venting. Cast your mind back to 1976. I was probably playing in my sandpit at that point, as I would have been. It would have been just before my 5th birthday. But some of you would have been gaming at this point. And this is when the Dragon magazine appeared. And the Dragon magazine, in issue 3, introduced its letters page. So, shall we have a look at the nerd rage that was present back in Dragon 3? Let's have a little read through, shall we? I'm going to read all the letters, and I'm going to read all the editor comebacks. I'm expecting to see some juiciness. So, this is the first letter ever printed in Dragon magazine. First letter in the first ever letters page. So, Gary F. Spiegel, you have that place in history. Grasp it. But let's see what you were talking about. Dear Sirs, I've been a student of military history for the past several years when I discovered TSR Hobbies. After ordering the Dungeon game out of a magazine, I got the TSR catalogue and found the world of wargaming. The biggest problem I have at the moment, is that I don't know any other wargamers in this area to get with. I subscribed to your magazine The Dragon and sat down to write to you. It's an American thing, isn't it? You say to write you. Here in Britain we say to write to you. We need another "to" in there, to write to you about your first, or rather my first issue. You wrote in the front that you wanted letters to Out on a Limb, so I decided to write my impressions as a newcomer. As a little background, I'm a 31-year-old steelworker. I read sci-fi and fantasy voracious. That means you'll be nearly 80 now, and have several thousand books. Right, he's laying down his credentials. So where's he going to start ranting? Also, I have been studying military history, especially naval history, and I'm presently designing a naval warfare game to submit to TSR staffers for consideration. My brother and a friend are presently studying and setting up Star Probe and Alien space games. We three rather prefer board games at present. On to The Dragon, however. Volume 1, Number 2, August. The article on monkish combat was almost completely over my head. I simply had no background to understand what was going on. Because he's talking about an RPG, and you've already said you're not an RPG fan, you're a board gamer. On the gnome cache, it seems strange and, well, stupid. I am sorry, but the writing was so good about a subject so terrible. If it was simply a try at humour, I'm surprised at its inclusion in such a class operation as the Dragon seems to be. Look, I read through that issue of the Dragon over a year ago now, so I can't remember what that was about. The little mentioned article on future issues, such as the upcoming Empire of the Petal Throne, was curiosity-provoking. We are thinking of ordering EPT if we can find out a little more about it. Okay, good. The article, story, Search for Forbidden Chamber, was dull. Again, the writing was excellent, the subject matter inane. Why not let such an obviously talented writer write a scenario on one of the actual games, such as a description in the back of the rulebook of the Dungeon game, not D&D. It was interesting as well as informative. The artwork is good. I enjoyed it. Please explain what is the section marked mapping the dungeon with all the names and addresses. Again, that's for RPG players. I'm pretty sure that's to do with conventions and getting in touch with gamers. But the section on D&D judges was interesting. Very. But it was like coming into the middle of the picture. I believe it would be very exciting to be a judge or referee in one of these war games. He's got completely the wrong idea here. I intend to get deeper into this phase of the game. Shadow of a Demon by Fox was good, as was the artwork. Look, D&D was released in 1974, this magazine in 1976. This guy has clearly read issue 2, come straight in, without knowing what D&D is. And there was going to be some assumption in a TSR magazine that people reading it are familiar with TSR games. So I think that point has to be made. The article Feathered Serpent by Lynn Harpold was excellent. The following quote, Mesoamerican Sun Kingdoms deserves a game all by itself. Hope to hear more from this artist in future issues. Don't stop your advertisements. They are fascinating to a newcomer like myself, even if old-timers are bored with it. They're necessary. The creature feature is fascinating even if I don't understand it. Wish I knew more about D&D. Well then, get it and find out. Your press release was the kind of thing I'm looking for. Critiques of the various games, some idea what they're about. This is interesting again, especially to a newcomer. Okay, yeah. The article on The Alchemist was fascinating, if baffling. All in all, the whole book was certainly interesting, if different. Book, it's a magazine. There's a difference between a book and a magazine. I would suggest that the upper half of your front page be a symbolic dragon design used in every issue to get a proper identification for the zine. I hate that shortening. I hate the term zine. It's magazine, fanzine. There are differences. The lower half could contain small art inserts or illustrations of interior articles. No, I prefer full page cover. I just wish they'd make the writing stand out properly. I hope this has been a good letter to you. I operate a small portion of the national group of science fictioneers called Perry Rodham Committee. We operate an organisation supporting the Perry Rodham science fiction series. Well, judging by your name, you don't really need to say that. I hope to begin a wargaming group here if I can find enough members. Thank you for your courtesy to keep up a rare and noble endeavour for the fantasy wargamers of America. Very sincerely yours, Gary F. Spiegel. An interesting first letter. Clearly a nerd. Yes, I have criticised him in that he's making comments about things he knows nothing about. Don't all of us nerds insist on doing that from time to time? And he did lay out his credentials early on. But he's keen. And this is the first letter to be printed in Dragon. So, Gary, good stuff. I am recording a video and somebody appears to have got a chainsaw out in their garden. Bloody typical. Let's have a look at the next one. Dear Sirs, a couple of weeks ago I wrote to you asking for permission to Xerox some of your tables. I had taken them and cut them out, laid them out differently to provide a compact set of all-important tables for GMs. I wanted to sell them to a few friends at cost, no profit. I received a short, curt reply saying, Dear Sir, in response to your question, no, you may not reprint anything. Okay. D&D books had layout issues early on. My only issue with what he's doing is he said straight away he'll sell them to his friends. Right. If his friends provide him with the paper, he copies it and gives them back and says, here you go. There's nothing whatsoever wrong with that. I don't know whether this is going to become your standard policy. I don't know whether this is your blanket response to all inquiries. If it is, however, I would like to lodge a protest. Yeah. Those with a background in many different fandoms have some knowledge of the results of a company oppressing an infant hobby with this type of policy. Comic fandom, for instance, was stunted and nearly ruined by comics companies' refusal to allow amateurs to use pro characters in their fanzines. It's almost interesting to note the route Star Trek fandom has gone with the allowance by Paramount of fan activity. Yes, yes, you stir up interest, you stir up creativity. Might also point out that an active and prosperous D&D fandom is as much, if not more, to your benefit than to anyone else's. Yeah, this guy knows what it is. The existence of a hardcore group that buys all TAE. TAE? Don't know what that abbreviation is. D&D related products only help your business. It therefore distresses me to see a restrictive policy adopted. If I and those like me were setting ourselves up in competition with already available TSR products, I might more readily understand your qualms. Unfortunately, real D&D fans are well aware that the supply of player aids for TSR is sadly pitiful. The character archaic is unmentionably useless. What's the character archaic? No convenient complete set of tables exists. Exactly. Is this why TSR produced a DM screen? I don't know. I therefore find it hard to swallow or understand your attitude. Not only would I not be competing with an excellent TSR product, I would not even be seeking on making a profit. I would only be trying to make the like of people that already bought all your products, make the life typo, bought all your products easier. And although I'm not a lawyer, I have some doubt to the legality of your preventing photocopying of your material in a different form for non-profit purposes. Yeah, it's illegal over here. If you buy something, you're allowed to make you're allowed to make a copy for personal use. So, as I said, if my friends were to give me the paper, and then I cut things out of a book and copied them out and printed them out, the company can't stop me doing that. Can't stop me doing that. I believe Congress has, or is in the process of, modifying the copyright laws to take into account the Xerox revolution. I would not try to sell my tables over your objections on such grounds. However, since, despite my dissatisfaction with this stance, I still have great respect for your company. Everyone is grateful to TSR for providing us with such a useful, flexible and fascinating fantasy game. But for God's sake, you're not providing effective products for enthusiasts of your game. It seems you're doing a disservice to your loyal customers by preventing others from providing these products as long as they're not trying to make a profit. Sincerely, Scott Rosenberg. Yeah, the grey area here is the fact that he's selling the copies to his friends. I think that's the problem. But let's see what Tim Kask has to say. Sorry to distress you, Scott, but the no still stands, and will do so until we have a few matters resolved. So, I'm wondering if they're talking to their people. Okay. Right now, we have denied permission to everyone not licensed by us because it was the only way to sort out what is going on. I agree that the fandom is a good thing and would do nothing to stifle it, but we had to draw a line, and now we are faced with sorting out the mess. At such time that we have accomplished this, then we will be able to give permission where appropriate. At this time, our policy is no exceptions, draconian as that may seem. I don't know where you got information regarding copyright law, but you have it just backwards. If we, publishers and printers, have our way, the new laws you speak of will clamp down on the rip-off revolution, as it should be properly known. Now, I don't know about these laws. I don't know who's got them about face or not. I suggest you check out the Judges Guild and ad appearing elsewhere in this issue. They seem to be quite competent. Okay, so I think that's a fair response. I mean, it's explained the reason for the blanket no, because they are currently trying to work through the legalities. And remember, they are a fledgling company, so they're learning. And the addition of the creation of the ability to photocopy stuff, you call it Xeroxing, we call it photocopying, then that will obviously, have created a new problem. But all I know is what the laws are now. If I buy a book, I can make myself a copy of it. Make myself a copy of it. So, handing it out to my friends for play. For not for revenue. As far as I'm concerned, it's for me, for my game. So there. Ooh, how far does these go on? Okay, very, very long letter coming up, and I obviously can't read all of this because it is a novel. So it's from Lewis Pulsifer, who is a major contributor. Let's have a little look. Editor, I have some comments on the first issue of The Dragon. First, I want to recommend Stith Thompson's Motif Index of Folklore Literature to any D&D referee who's looking for new ideas. Okay. Right. I'm going to jump there. I was disappointed at the amount of space taken up by ads and illustrations. Surely there must be worthwhile articles that could be used instead. Yeah, they've got to make money. They've got to make money. I also wonder why so much fiction is included. I've already said I'm not a massive fan of the fiction in these magazines. I am going to go back and read some of it in a bit, though. We shall see. We'll see if it changes my mind. We certainly can find material of equal and likely better quality in the library or bookstore. Yeah, because those are usually written by professional authors. One expects The Dragon to be a gaming magazine, and fiction is a total waste from a gaming viewpoint, no matter how good or bad it is. You know what I said about when I started this video about nerds? I think Mr. Pulsifer is clearly one of the original nerd ragers here. The game reviews could be more complete. Okay. Finally, I cannot understand how Smith's Three Kindreds of the Eldar got past the editors. I respect Wes Ives' work and his GMing, but I wonder if his system puts too much stress on die rolls and not enough on the players controlling the characters involved. So this is a big rant here about I think Pulsifer is a Brit, isn't he? I know he contributed a lot towards the Fiend Folio. So this is why he's going on about elves and Tolkien and all that sort of stuff. Yes. Go for it, Lewis. Go for it. Right. I'm going to read the last bit. All Eldar and half-elves are lawful and good in this world. Half-elves have the same requirements and powers as Eldar proper, but advance as specified in Greyhawk. For convenience, one can refer to Eldar proper as Noldor, but this is not accurate. A realistic chance for going over sea is 1 in 1,000 per year for Eldar proper, and 1 in 100 per year for Sindar, once they have seen the Western Ocean, but 1 in 10,000 before then. Do not roll at all until the elf has reached his maximum level. Do as I say! Rah, 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 rah. Let's have a look. Reply. After receiving and reading this letter, I felt it only fair to let Larry answer the technical side of his letter. I know Larry to be well versed in Tolkien lore and would use him as a source anytime. I'll respond to some of the charges and complaints after Larry. So Larry Smith. That's what he says. Tim, here it is. As to Lou's criticism of my simple system of dealing with D&D elves, I must disagree with him on several points. First, a 50% increase in the Noldor's abilities is not too much in the light of only a 10% chance of being a Noldor. Second, my sources were Lord of the Rings and GMA. Something Middle-earth. Then also it does not state in either source that the Sylvan elves were not allowed to go across the sea, but that many did not wish to go. They do, however, leave you with a feeling that some did cross. In Lou's favour, I will say that Sylvan elves are not Eldar, but were placed on the chart as a ratio factor in comparison with the Sindar and Noldor elves. Now it is Lou's turn to be confused. The Eldar are divided into three groups. These are Noldor, High Elves, Deep Elves, the Exiles, all the same, Sindar, Grey Elves, Sea Elves, SEA, listed in the Guide to Middle-earth. And of course, then there are the Sylvan Elves, listed as Wood and East Elves. All are separate. No Noldor are Sindar Elves. So this is, I'm a nerd and I'm flinging shit at you. Well, I'm a nerd and I'm flinging it back. Nah. Okay, there we go. And here is the reply from the Ed. Without ads, there would be no dragon. Without art, it would be dull and lifeless. The dragon is neither an APA zine nor a fanzine. We are a prozine. I don't know what APA, I don't know what the difference is. I guess fanzine is very amateur. Okay. Ads pay the freight. To judge from the first letter, some people really like the ads. Numerous surveys have verified this. I mean, I guess it depends on how close you are to a decent supply of shops serving the hobby. In regard to fiction, please read this issue's Dragon Rumbles. That's the editorial at the start. In regard to reviews, I suggest you read Intelligence Report in Little Wars, Volume 1, Number 2, the press release. The press release column is syndicated and provided as a service. As this magazine completes its shakedown, we plan to do more extensive reviews by staff personnel. Isn't it amazing how two people can use the same data and yet draw such widely differing conclusions? Lies, damn lies, and statistics. And that's it. Sorry I didn't read the entirety of Lewis Pulsifer's letter because it was massive and it was going really into the nitty gritty of this is how you should do elves. And yeah, his tone was perfect nerd. In fact, I think that entire letters page just sums it all up. Nerds have not changed. We are still ranty knobheads when we want to be. Anyway, from this ranty knobhead to all you ranty knobheads out there, I hope you enjoyed this read through the first ever Dragon letters page. I've been the Old Geek. See ya.